So the next one is actually a quite controversial one for me and for you as well, because so there is like 1 or 2 shots in this film of an airplane, and I believe it's supposed to be like a 747 model, I think it's called. Apparently it's not accurate. Like I think John Travolta, even, who is like a aviation nerd, kind of pointed out that it's not 100% accurate. But that to me, I know nothing of airplanes in that regard, so I didn't think of that. However,
hopefully we will survive now that we know this information.
Yeah. However, I did think that those shots looked CG. And I was convinced that they are CG when first seeing them. However, I did find an interview again with Robert Richardson, the DP. So when he was describing the drive-in scene that I mentioned earlier, he said like this: so visual effects designer John Dykstra created that in CG, the drive-in theater scene, or actually in miniatures. He did miniatures also for the airplanes in the sky. I don't know what airplanes he's talking about, because I don't think there are airplanes in the drive-in theater scene. So I'm assuming it's this shot. So if this is a model, I think it looks CG. And honestly, I don't really know. I got pretty insecure when I read about that.
I mean, by looking at it, I'm highly doubtful that is miniatures.
Yeah, because right now I'm just like remembering it from out of memory.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I saw that shot, but I just remember it looking CG. And if it isn't CG, then I think it's gone through a lot of touch-ups.
Yeah, exactly. To the extent that it's not even a real shot anymore.
Well, yeah. And it's pretty funny because Tarantino has a tendency to make, or he's done like airplane scenes before. Like in Kill Bill, he had an airplane scene where Beatrix Kiddo goes to Tokyo.
Yeah.
And that airplane scene is, I believe it's inspired by a film called Goki Body Snatcher from Hell, which also has that kind of like orange, almost like house-esque.
Nobuhiko Obayashi kind of aesthetic.
Yeah. And you can actually see like the wires on that plane.
Yeah. But I think that's on purpose,
but it's intentional because it looks super fake. But I mean, in a good way, it looks like he wanted it to look like a miniature, and it kind of does this like, kind of like when a kid plays with a little toy airplane. It does this kind of wiggle or something.
A guy who's like the master of miniatures right now, that's Christopher Nolan. I mean, look at the he doesn't really do VFX breakdowns, but in Dunkirk, all of the Batman movies he made, and also I'm sure, like Inception also has miniatures, and I mean it's astounding what he manages to pull off with his miniatures, and it truly looks like the real thing.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible to make it look really good with miniatures.
Yeah. But I think in Kill Bill, the point there was to kind of look, I guess, kitsch or like a little bit, low budget. But, I wasn't bothered because that was the aesthetic he was going for. But in this scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I was kind of, I'm confused. If this is a model, I think it looks really CG.
Because the thing with the shot with the miniature in Kill Bill is that it's very specific to that time, that technology.
Yeah, right.
But they didn't have CGI back in the 60s,
No.
That's why it comes across as kind of not well suited for the film. It wouldn't make sense if it's so like, specific to the era, like in Kill Bill. That, I mean, they didn't have that kind of CGI back in the 60s. And
I'm also, because the thing is with Tarantino, he also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he has some effects that look pretty bad, but it's intentional.
Yeah.
Once again, like as with Kill Bill, you know the rat.
Yeah,
when he
I was
arrives-
thinking of it as soon as you mentioned.
in Spawn Ranch, there's like a rat that kind of looks like some animatronic rat that kind of goes like.
Yeah, we'll probably show it in the podcast.
Yeah.
You never know. The next boy you meet may be the one. The next time he looks at you may be the time he
And you know, it looks super fake, but I wasn't bothered at all because I was thinking that he probably wanted it to look kind of, you know, that aesthetic.
Yeah, and it fucking looks real too.
Yeah. It's not CG.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it was like, you know, feathered into the image.
Yeah.
You know?
I do think I would think it was worse to have like a CG rat lying there and like
yeah, it would be far more disturbing as well. But also like
just personal opinion. I think I kind of like that.
But that's
tacky practical effect kind of.
That's the thing with, like, for example, Inception. You know, that's a movie as well that uses a lot of practical effects, and it's like genius how they pulled it off.
Yeah.
But then they have like 2 shots, and we're gonna show those 2 shots, where you can see that those 2 shots they had to do digitally, and it really doesn't hold the same kind of magic as the other practical shots. I'm thinking of the shot where, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio and Elliot Page walks like from the ground to, you know, another ground. Like the.
Do you mean like it's like a?
It's really hard to explain for like a Swede in English how the hell word.
But it's like a mind trick.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't remember. It's like the stairs. Yeah, whatever.
But no, but it's kind of like that. But you know, like when the cities, they're kind of collapsing.
Oh,
on
I mean
themselves.
that scene. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So they're walking here, and then they start walking as if they're walking on the wall.
Yeah.
Basically.
Right. Yeah.
And then they have another scene, you know, where Tom Hardy is Elon Musk's ex-wife. She's in that movie apparently.
Yeah, okay.
And he's like a woman in that scene. So you can see him in the mirror.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it really is not at the same level as, you know, the rotating hotel corridor scene.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, interesting. So I was also going to mention, just like as a quick kind of detail here regarding Tarantino and CGI. So sometimes well, I mean, it's kind of difficult to kind of find these things that you don't like in like one of your biggest idols' movies.
Yeah.
But when it comes to CGI and Tarantino, so I think we need to address the cows.
Yeah.
In Inglorious Basterds.
It must be addressed.
You know, it's like, I don't know if that's CG cows or if it's real cows that they rotoscoped in. But I mean, you know, the shadow on those cows.
It's unforgivable.
Well, I mean, you know, it's but I just, but the thing here though is
he's going to cinema hell for that one, you know.
No. He's done too much good for humanity.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Sorry. If Q is even looking at this, which I highly doubt, then sorry.
We're more worried about him if he actually takes VFX advice from us.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just kidding.
But I was gonna say that. So like, what was I gonna say?
The cows.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember, but anyway. So like Harry Cohen, who was the sound designer for Inglorious Basterds, he added cow sounds because they were talking about this being a dairy farm. So he added some cow sounds, and because he did so, the natural felt we need to add cows as well. You know, and the cows, they don't look great. But yeah, this was the thing I was going to say. And that is that when I saw this film, and I've seen it several times, I didn't really notice the cows until you mentioned the cows.
Okay.
So I didn't look at them because
Yeah.
when the film starts, we see like the year, and then I was actually looking at the house.
Yeah.
I wasn't really looking at the cows. And then when Hans Landa comes, I'm looking at him.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not really looking at the cows. But then when I look at them, then I see it. Then I see like, yeah, this doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
But I think that goes to show that it's also very important where you kind of direct the focus in a scene.
Yeah.
So I think in a way that scene works because, not even I, who claim to care a lot about effects, noticed it. But now that I have noticed it, it kind of bothers me a little bit. But it's worth mentioning. I didn't really think of it before, you mentioned it, to be honest.
But look, like 95% of the stuff Quentin Tarantino does is like genius level. But it's something I reacted, not the first time I saw it, but I remember that when I saw those cows later on, as I, matured in my knowledge of effects and things like that.
Yeah.
That I did think it was, my guess is that they probably just had like green screen footage and just put the cows in there and then did an artificial shadow and, and it's not, it's not great. It doesn't look that realistic, but it's really a really, really small part of the entire film.
And
I mean, it's like one of our favorite movies anyway.
That scene is one of the best scenes in that movie as well.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of obvious, so we're not here to just congratulate him on being really a great filmmaker.
No.
It's also, we want to, for someone that's so talented and so good at making movies, I think it's, although it doesn't happen very often, I think it's good to point out, like, oh yeah, maybe that he could have done.
Yeah,
a little.
Yeah, I think it's
kind of like, with PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson with the frogs in Magnolia.
Yeah.
And there's one shot where the oil goes through the oil rig house.
Yeah.
That looks slightly off in a real sense.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say also, it's pretty funny because like at the end of that scene when Shoshana is running away and he yells that, au revoir, Shoshana. You can hear like a really low volume like moo. I believe it's that one that Harry Cohen, the sound designer, meant in this interview. And that is actually Quentin Tarantino. Like
really?
he wanted a cow that sounded like this, and then I'm not gonna try to sound like a cow, but he did like a moo. And then the sound designer was like, yeah, let's just go with that one.
Yeah.
So think of that. It's a really low volume if it's the right one that I kind of found. Okay. But it's the last one, or when we leave that scene, we hear QT's own moo.